it.
Please sit.
Thank you.
So, good afternoon, Aiman.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
So, Aiman, you have cleared mains. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, ma'am.
And this was your first attempt?
This was my third attempt, second interview.
Second interview. Okay, great. So, Aiman, your option was
Political science and international relations.
International relations. Okay. So now, how would you define a state and a nation?
Ma'am, in a pure Western political philosophy, a state is defined as a political entity which is governed by a sovereign authority, and it constitutes a limited number of citizens, which grants those citizens rights and those citizens have certain duties towards the state.
So you said, according to your definition, there is a government.
Yes, ma'am.
There's citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
There's sovereignty.
There's sovereign.
These are enough components of a state?
Ma'am, according to just the Western definition of the state, it requires a defined territorial division and a sovereign set of laws.
So
and
territory is another component which you are saying, besides
Yes,
government and citizens and sovereignty.
Yes.
So 4 components of a state.
Yes.
How will it be different from a nation?
Ma'am, a nation is the root word for nation is nesai, which means race. So it is more of a racial identification where people of similar nation, people who belong to similar nation have similar racial identities. In terms, if we'll talk about European nations, these citizens of a similar nation have similar race.
Would you call India a nation then? Because we are very diverse.
Ma'am, this is another debate if India is a nation state or a state nation. India is a nation of nations, a lot of cultures, a lot of ethnicities, diversities, religions and languages.
So is it a nation or not?
In a strict Western definition of a nation, I don't think it will stand for that. But otherwise, India being a very peculiar in its own terms, I think if India has to give its own definition of nation, India will stand up to that definition. But in a very strict Western terminology, I don't think it will.
For political theory, do we go by Western ideology always, or we had some political theorists within our country?
Yes, ma'am, we have had very great political theorists in our country, right from times of Chandragupta Maurya. We had Kautilya, who wrote Arthashastra, which is a Magna Carta if we talk about Indian political theory. And then we had theorists like Kautilya, and post him we can call Gautam Buddha as one of the political theorists.
Would we call Krishna as a political theorist?
Ma'am, I'm not very sure about that.
Okay. When we talk about state
Yes.
and territory, we talk about boundaries.
Hmm.
How is a boundary different from frontier?
I'm sorry, I need to look on that.
Yeah, you should look onto it, because international relations, all the conflicts take place because of frontiers, not necessarily always about boundaries.
Okay.
When we talk about what would you understand by neoliberalism?
Ma'am, neoliberalism is a political theory which talks about market being a sole criterion that determines how politics and society will be governed. Political theorists like Milton Friedman can be called as a neoliberal, where he said that market like states should leave a lot of things to the market, and let market decide how demand and supply will be governed.
Can you give some example from India that some policies are being made according to neoliberalism?
Ma'am, India is going for a lot of FTAs in foreign policy. We are going for a lot of FTAs around the world with UK, with EU. So that can be counted as a neoliberal policy.
FDIs, you mean to say?
for free trade agreements.
Free trade agreements. Okay.
FTAs can be counted as a neoliberal policy where economics is going to govern the politics and international
FTAs as well as FDIs also you would consider?
FDI, the LPG reforms.
Is there any negative side to the FDIs?
Ma'am, one thing that is coming to my mind right now is that it has reduced the poverty, FDI, but it has increased the relative poverty. Like rich is getting richer and poor is getting poorer. So although it has increased the disposable income of every Indian, but it has widened the gap between rich and poor in
Besides poverty, is there any other aspect which FDI has negatively impacted India?
Ma'am, another thing that is coming to my mind is that it has attacked the indigenous industries and small village businessmen.
Anything about the environmental concerns?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, particularly with respect to capitalism, it is said that capitalism is more anti-environment. It tends to maximize profits at the cost of environment. So yes, it has also harmed.
So the idea that the Western world wants to set up all their industries into India and other emerging economies, saying that we are providing you employment, do you agree to another viewpoint that they are basically offloading their environmental damage into these countries? Do you agree with that idea?
Ma'am, to some extent, yes. There have been instances where they are dumping the plastic waste to Indian oceans and all these oceans of developing countries, because in their own country, the standards of emissions are very high and strict. So now that they have polluted and now they are going for a better environmental standards, they are doing it to developing countries.
So it's not only dumping the plastics. If the manufacturing is taking place here, the entire fumes and entire waste in the rivers will be here itself. So it's not direct dumping. It is also a generation of entire toxic,
yes,
which is coming in the developing countries.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And because these countries are poor, they are feeling very proud in taking the FDIs. Okay. In your DAF, you've written Sciences Po. How come you have done an online course with Sciences Po?
It was an online course on Coursera.
On Coursera?
On Coursera, that was an online course.
What do you know about Sciences Po?
Ma'am, all I can recall right now is that it's a university in Paris, and I got to learn a lot from the professors from Sciences Po, and it was a wonderful experience.
So it was a certificate in politics and economics of international energy. Do you relate Ukraine war with international energy in some way?
Ma'am, Ukraine war has created a crisis of energy in Europe.
Has it created, or the Ukraine war itself was in some way related to international energy crisis?
Ma'am, we can say that Russia went for a war because it wanted certain ports in Ukraine, so that it can assure that it has passage of sea for export of its oil. So in that way, we can say that to secure those ports and to secure that its oils are being...
So that means the guilt of war lies only with Russia? Because it wanted certain ports?
Ma'am, not solely on Russia, because some of the sensitivities of Russia were not being honored by the NATO and the Western Bloc also. But I personally believe that Russia is more responsible than the rest of the world.
Does your personal view count? What authority you have to give your personal view?
Ma'am, my personal view is important for my own conscience and how I satisfy my conscience.
Okay. So,
going ahead with the Russia-Ukraine war, tell me, what is the main impact that India has over this war?
So from the beginning of the war, Indian citizens who were there, Indian students, medical science students who were there in the war.
What sectors have been affected in India by this war?
Crude oil, food. It has led to imported inflation in food, in fuel. Wheat supply got affected. Sunflower, we used to import a lot of sunflower from Ukraine. So edible oil sector got affected. Many students from India used to go to those countries for education, so that also got affected. So
Anything to do with the military?
Military, okay.
Has it got any impact on the military, armed forces?
So we can say that Russia doing this activity in its backyard, it has made China more belligerent and it has reinforced Chinese aspirations, and that has led India to work on to focus more on its military and be ready for.
Any idea how much of Indian armed forces, that the equipment that they have is Russian origin or from Ukraine?
Sir, it's close to 60%.
Close to 60%. Okay. If it is 60% of the equipment which has come from Russia and Ukraine, and both the countries are in war, what effect will it have on the Indian armed forces?
So there is a need for us to diversify from where we procure our weapons.
That is the effect. That what we have to do. That is the effect. That you can say Indianization and all that. We should speed up that factor.
Sir.
But at present, what is the effect? If suppose 60% of the equipment, as you have said, is from the Russia and Ukraine, so what happens to that equipment? Because that equipment, as you are well aware, needs spare parts and all that, right?
Yes,
because to make it operational, it needs some spare parts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what effect? Hasn't it got a serious effect on that?
So currently there is an growing international pressure upon India to to vociferously come against Russia, but we need Russia for, like you said, for operations, for maintenance, for spare parts. So that has got India into a very strict dilemma where we have to choose between openly speaking against Russia or maintaining and securing.
I'm not saying what India should speak vociferously against Russia or Ukraine or something. I'm not saying that. I was just asking, how is it affecting the Indian military capability?
So it is in a way nudging us to go towards more indigenization.
Yeah, that's after effect at present. So basically, many of our equipments are left unattended to because of lack of spares and other items.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Let's take you to a different arena. See, we see lot of road potholes are there. Roads are not proper. Street lighting is not proper.
Yes.
Right, and infrastructure is bad. What, in your opinion, can be done to improve that?
So, in particular, the road infrastructure.
Road, street lighting,
infrastructure
and potholes
in our country.
that we find, numerous ones.
Okay,
so, what, in your opinion, can be done to improve that? Who's the authority who's responsible for it, and how it can be done?
So one innovative idea that is coming to my mind is we can increase more and more the use of technology to ensure that if there is corruption, because the potholes that you talked about, it has more to do with the corruption in terms of the quality of materials. So using more and more technology can be one of the solutions to ensure that the quality materials are being used and procured, and throughout the supply chain.
In a city, which organization is responsible for that?
So PWD.
Municipal corporation, basically.
Municipal corporation, yes, sir.
So what problem lies in this municipal corporation?
So one of the major issues that municipal corporations are facing across India is the lack of funds, lack of finances. So funding more and more, or probably creating a revenue stream for municipal corporations or for big cities can be one of the solutions, so that they are more funded and they are able to invest in the infrastructure.
Okay. Tell me, what opportunities lie for girls in India to join the armed forces?
Just like the boys in India, girls can also sit for many exams like CDS, NDA, and join military, army and navy. And
are girls allowed to join NDA?
Sir, I think Yes.
You're not sure?
So I'm not sure.
Oh.
So I'll read about it.
Recently it has been introduced, so you should be aware of that. Okay, and are these girls can join as officer or below officer level in the
So-
Army, Navy, Air Force?
So I'm not very sure about this.
Okay, haven't you heard about the Agnipath scheme, Agniveer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agnipath scheme. So this scheme was introduced to recruit early young Indians from the age of 17 to 21.
Yeah.
In
No, I'm not asking that. That's fine. That's correct. But I'm not asking that. I'm saying, can girls join through Agnipath scheme?
sir, I need to look into that.
Okay, no problem.
You mentioned about nation, isn't it? Ma'am was asking you about nation.
Yes, sir.
Do you think India is not a nation? What is Bharat?
Bharat India is a nation state, but
I'll come to that. First, my question is to you, what is Bharat?
So Bharat is Hindi for India.
Bharat is?
Bharat is Hindi term for India.
No. Is it mentioned in our Indian constitution?
Yes,
Bharat.
sir. Yes, sir.
Which article?
So it's something that goes India, that is Bharat, and
Which article is this?
sir, I'm not very sure about
Article 1.
it. Article
Very
1.
first article
Article
of our
1, exactly,
constitution begins with this idea,
India
that is Bharat.
Yes, sir.
What is Bharat? Now I am asking you that.
So
Article 1 says India, that is Bharat, is a union of states.
it's a union of states. Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
So what is Bharat? Okay, I simplify the question for you. Where does the term Bharat come from?
So there was a term, India was called Bharatvarsha, and from there the word Bharat came.
It has been called Bharatvarsha right from ancient times.
Yes, sir.
Right? Is
Yes,
that right or not?
Yes, sir.
So what is Bharat? My question is the same. What is Bharat?
Sir, I am not very sure about it.
Is it not a nation?
Sir,
And where from this word originated? Where from it has come? Is it a Sanskrit word?
Yes, sir. It's a Sanskrit word.
Sanskrit word. We had a great emperor called Bharat.
Bharat.
And also Bharat is mentioned in Gita.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
In chapter 2, Bhagavan has said, Dehi nityam vadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharat. Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu natvam shochitum arhasi. This is chapter 2 shloka I am reciting. Bharat is mentioned in Gita 3 times.
Okay, sir.
So, and Gita, when Gita was written?
So it was written in ancient India.
Ancient times. So, India is Bharat. Right from that time, when no European nations ever existed.
Yes, sir.
When these nation states in Europe came into existence?
Suppose the Peloponnesian War.
Very recently. It is a
1713.
recent history.
Yes, sir.
They were barbarians that time when we were nation.
Yes, sir. Sir, I was talking just in the strict Western definition.
It is a broad sense.
Yes, sir, but we can interpret it in a very broad sense because of our
We are a
peculiar
nation.
realities.
We have always been a nation. When they did not even know the definition of a nation, we have been a nation. You see the correlation I am giving you. 5,000 years ago, Gita was written.
Yes, sir.
And same word Bharat is mentioned in the very first article of Indian Constitution.
Sure, sir.
The definition which ma'am was asking you, you see, this state is different. State has to have,
territory.
Established territory, established law, right? Sovereignty, people, and defined, boundary line. All that, these are properties of state,
Sure, sir.
right? Nation as a concept has always existed in India because India is Bharat. What is Desh? Is Desh different than nation?
Desh. Sir, I'm not sure about this.
भारत को हम देश कहते हैं ना.
जी.
देश is a bigger, so to say, interpretative entity than nation.
Okay, sir.
मतलब देश is like grandfather and nation is like father.
Okay, sir.
देश is a bigger interpretation. भारत देश. At the time of Emperor Ashoka, could you please tell me what were the boundary lines of India?
Ashoka. Okay, sir. So we had like Gandhara, part of Gandhara as a as an Indian entity.
So present day के हिसाब से देखें तो उसमें what all were included
it had
at the time of Ashoka?
Afghanistan,
Yes.
it had Pakistan, it had Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, some territories of probably of China also.
Very good. Now this you have done, I find you to be very talented. You see, you have done Faculty of Engineering and Technology से Civil Engineering course, and then you have done MBA.
Sir, I am pursuing MBA. I am a student.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
You are working?
Sir, I am in second year, third semester.
अच्छा, third semester. अभी you are still studying.
Yes, sir.
You are
I'm
not yet completed your MBA.
No, sir. I'm in final year.
Okay, final
Third
year.
semester.
So what are the management methodologies? Can you name a few management methodologies?
Sir, in respect to
Methodology of in management we study Adobe, for example. Have you heard of Adobe?
So I need to study more in that.
Methodology?
Yes, sir.
Scrum?
No, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I've not heard about it.
No, not heard of it?
No,
Scrum.
No.
Scrum methodology.
No, sir. No, sir.
Waterfall?
Sorry, sir. I've not heard about it.
You're not heard of models of management.
Sir, I think I need to revise. I think I need to revise a
आप
bit.
थर्ड ईयर में है ना अभी तो
Sir,
थर्ड ईयर
third
तो हो जाता है ये
semester.
सब methodologies तो स्टडी करते हैं.
Sir, I think I'll revise my first
Rapid
year.
action development model,
Okay.
unified action development model,
Okay, sir.
Adobe, Scrum.
Okay, sir.
So
I'll just go
anyway,
through them
how
again.
is management different than administration?
So from my little knowledge, whatever I can think of is that management has more to do with managing different different dimensions and different, like if management, if I can talk about different sub-disciplines, that is finance, operations, HR and marketing. But administration per se, it has all those elements, but it is something more than that. It is it has grievance redressal, it has so this is I can recall at the moment.
See, a manager is a bigger person or administrator is a bigger person?
So an administrator
Is a bigger person, isn't it?
Yes.
Manager will manage whatever task is given, he will manage and produce results. Administrator has to, think, plan and conceptualize, do a lot of extra things which managers normally are not supposed to do.
Yes.
So then now can you tell us the difference between administration and management? As a district magistrate, you are a manager or administrator?
So sometimes a manager, sometimes an administrator.
No, don't say sometimes. You are a manager or administrator? Either you are a manager or administrator.
So administrator.
Is an administrator not also a manager?
Also manager, yes,
Then
sir.
how do you say sometimes?
It's like administration is something more than management. It is management, it has management in it, but it is more than that also.
No, he is an administrator. And
Administrator.
management duties are also a part of administration.
A part of administration.
It is a subset of that.
A subset, yes.
Okay. But you've done operations and finance, isn't it? So
these
in
are-
financial management, can you tell me what is optimization?
Sir, optimization in terms of cost and time, we try to reduce the cost incurred and the time that is taken. Let's say if we talk about any construction project, there's many optimization tools like CPM and PERT that help us reduce the cost and reduce the time.
What is CPM?
Construction project management.
Huh?
So construction project management.
No, critical path method.
Critical path method.
What is PERT?
Sir, I need
You
to...
just mentioned yourself. I mean, you are giving us... you are done in operations, no? OR में तो ये सब CPM
Sir, I
PERT आपको
have
पढ़ना
done
ही है
them
पूरा.
in civil engineering.
हाँ.
So I was linking it with the civil engineering, but I need to go through the
वो
full
देखना
forms
पड़ेगा
again.
आपको. And PERT, program evaluation and review technique.
Program evaluation and review.
What is the difference between CPM and PERT?
Sir, all that I can recall, one is activity based, the other is event based.
Yes, that is right. No, but that is not the right basic difference.
Okay.
What is actually the difference between CPM and PERT?
So CPM tries to find out the critical path which is very necessary to reduce the time, whereas PERT intends to...
No, PERT is used when the project is unpredictable.
Okay.
Like scientific research, you do not know what is the duration of a task. Then how will you find the critical path? PERT is used. But you are constructing a building. Then you know ये इतने दिन में बन जाएगा, ये इतने, every task duration is known to you. Then we use CPM. Sure. That is the most fundamental difference.
Okay, sir.
Because you mentioned in operations research तो ये सबसे पहली चीज होती है. Right. Okay. My one last question to you. In your this one, you are mentioning awareness campaign against food wastages.
Yes.
What is the extent of food wastage presently in India? Estimated wastage, I am saying.
So estimated, I think it is around 40% of food being
40%?
wasted. 40%. So it's a data of FAO which says that 40% of food is being wasted in our country.
What WHO says about it?
WHO. So I'm not sure about
You
that.
read that report. There is a report of WHO on food wastages in Asian countries.
So there is another food waste index 2021 which says that 50 kgs of food is wasted per year from every household in our country.
That is correct. That is correct data.
Yes, sir.
So how can we minimize food wastage?
So we can start from ourselves. We can make sure that we're going to weddings, we are taking food in hostel. We should make sure that we take only that amount that we think we will have, and if we want more, we can go for another time for food. And more than that, we can nudge our friends, we can nudge our relatives, family members to make sure that they don't waste food. There's a very innovative technique that I got to know that is being used in UAE. UAE is another country where a lot of food is being wasted. So what they do in marriages is that they reduce the size of plates. So that is another thing that we can do.
Yeah, that is a good idea. If you reduce the size of plate,
Yes.
people would tend to have less food and less wastage.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it?
Another thing that I came across is being frugal with respect to how we cook. There is a very famous dish in Mangalore. It's a dosa which is made of watermelon peel. So we can, like India has a culture of being frugal with respect to how we use food. So that is something that we can implement in, like when we are cooking, when we are in a family function, when we are in marriages. So this is something that we can do.
Good. I like this answer.
So continuing with the food wastage, so you were spreading awareness about it, right?
Yes.
Campaign against food wastage. So tell me 2-3 main target groups which you target, like if you have limited time, limited budget, limited human resource, what will be the less work and more impact? What will be those target groups according to you?
So according to me, the children, probably I can inculcate the values in my nephews and nieces. I can tell them that they should, how much they should take and how they should eat. They should not.
Okay, next.
So children can be one of the group. My friends, my colleagues in college, in classrooms, in hostels. So I can nudge them also. And
can you collaborate with Swiggy, Zomato, restaurant, wedding planners? You will have much more impact and with less human resource. And
Yes,
like
sir. This reminds me of this NGO called Robin Hood Army. What they're doing, I have been associated with them as a volunteer. What they're doing is that they're taking their surplus food from restaurants, from marriages, and they take it to the places where food is deficient, like to slums, to all these places where you'll find beggars who are hungry, who do not have food. So they're
Okay, so one more thing about awareness. We have seen that the voter turnout in areas which are more developed in a city or which are posh and is very low. So why rich people don't vote? What according to you is the reason for that?
So 2-3 things that are coming to my mind right now is probably they think that they have got all the public utilities that a government can possibly give. So there's no need of exercising their right to vote, or they are unable to associate themselves with the culture of giving vote and being part of a nation, or probably they just think that it's a holiday and we should enjoy our holiday rather than just wasting our time and in going to a voter. And there is a subculture theory in sociology where where like you have a culture within culture, and when your friends are also not voting, your parents have never voted, so in that subculture you feel that you don't feel the importance to vote. So they are probably in a subculture where voting is not a thing, where voting is not important. So
Okay,
in that
so
subculture.
let me shift to civil engineering. Why steel is used in construction?
So because it has a good tensile strength, and when we use concrete has a good compressive strength, but it lacks tensile strength. So steel.
So does steel have good compressive strength also, or is just tensile?
So it is used as a reinforcement because it imparts the
I got
tensile.
that, but I am asking a separate question. Steel have a good compressive strength also, or just tensile strength?
Sir, I need to look at
Okay.
that.
One more thing. You have seen these forts, old forts, dating back to 16th century, 17th century, and they are still intact. So why do you think they are still intact and a newly constructed house will be, ruined in 50 years?
So in civil engineering, there's something called a factor of safety. These days, when we are constructing, we have the factor of safety of 1.5. But those structures, they had very huge factor of safety, probably 3 or 4. So they are very safe because they had a huge factor of safety.
Okay, so they are overbuilt basically.
Overbuilt, probably the amount of.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Aiman.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we had a long conversation. Time for feedback now.
Okay, ma'am.
So right from your entry, do you think there was something wrong about
I
your entry?
missed greeting.
No, you just entered.
Oh,
You have to seek permission.
okay.
Okay. So entry was extremely impolite, I would say. It was barging in.
Okay.
Okay. Then you came.
I didn't even hear whether you wished or
No,
not.
she did not
I
wish.
missed. Sorry, sir. I
She did
missed.
not wish.
I did not hear her.
Yeah,
There
she
was
did
something
not.
else was going in my head at that moment.
Be careful.
So
I
that is
realized.
something which, it sets the mood for the panel that,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
candidate. Okay.
Something else was going on in my
Yeah,
head.
so that is one thing. Secondly, I would say too much hand movement, extremely too much hand movement, distraction. Next is your knowledge is limited, I would say very clearly at the outset. Okay, your answers are very weak and they need to be better organized. Okay, most of the questions I realized that your answers were very weak answers. Okay, you need to gain more knowledge and you need to organize your answer better. Okay. Secondly, one of the questions sir had asked about maintenance of roads and potholes. Right at the outside is a negative approach, corruption. The question did not intend that. He simply asked who's the authority, which is the authority which manages one thing and what should be done. He did not say what are the limitations, why it is not like, he simply asked simple question. So the approach is very negative, that there is corruption and you get my point, what I'm trying to say.
हाँ.
Okay, so these are the few things similar. Now again, you are doing international relations. To the question which I had asked about boundary and frontiers, you're supposed to know what is a frontier, what is a boundary. Okay? Yeah, sir.
Yeah. Okay, if I can just add besides what ma'am has said, one, you have to work hard. You've got time, work hard. What I noticed was one of the questions which ma'am had asked you about, I think, nation or state or something. So then you answered, so that calls for a debate. No, so nothing calls for a debate. Whatever you know, you just answer. Okay, don't leave it for future. Okay, fine, this question asks for calls for a debate. And second thing was, you were very judgmental about Russia, Ukraine, that, you know, Putin is wrong or something, right?
Question, yes.
No, see, neither she asked nor I asked whether who's right or who's wrong, nor there was any need for you to be judgmental and say, okay, fine, Russia is at fault and he should be accused and we should do all that, you know, all these things. It was not asked, and you should not answer that also.
Even if frauded, that's why I very harshly I said, nobody bothers about your decision, your views. You said, in my view, it is like that. So
your judgment was not asked
necessary.
only. Oh yeah, it was not necessary. Right?
Okay, sir.
You just restrict to the answers. Don't answer something beyond what has been asked for. Otherwise, you'll unnecessarily get into the trap.
Sure, sir.
Right? That's all from my side.
I think you've done fairly well. Ma'am has already pointed out wherever you try to confine yourself to what has been asked. That is first thing you should remember.
Sure.
Right.
Sure, sir.
Whatever has been asked. Plus, you have to be very polite with panelists. You see that as once you became judgmental, and one time like you were a kind of remonstrating कि नहीं ऐसा होता है, ऐसा नहीं. You have to be open. Suppose panelist is suggesting something, you say, sir, all right, sir, that may also be there. Be open about it. Judgmental नहीं होना है, और किसी चीज़ पे मतलब adamant नहीं होना है या ऐसे obstructive नहीं होना. Be open about it, accept it. Accept it. Irrelevant चीज़ें नहीं बोलती. That is very important.
Sure.
Because you are giving very lengthy answers, no, तो वो when I was asking about management and this one, no, तो उतना ज़्यादा नहीं, जितना पता है उतना आप बता दो.
So about management, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So because this was my third attempt. I was preparing. So I am probably not very well with the theories like you asked. So how should I go about that?
Management theories पढ़ना पड़ेगा आपको.
Okay.
Because your subject was there, no, management. So these are all modern theories of management. So anybody who knows about management, he would ask you that thing. What are these modern theories of management? How project methodologies are there in software management? Software development projects कैसे handle होते हैं? उनको कैसे manage करते हैं? या construction projects को कैसे manage करते हैं? तो वो management methodologies हैं वो. There are 16 methodologies, right? So you can explore that, and जैसे rapid application development है, joint application development है, Scrum है, तो वो widely use होती है सब जगह. Everybody knows about it. Anybody who is studying management, actually, this is the first thing he is supposed to know. If you are from a prestigious college where classes are being held. जहाँ class नहीं होती उसकी बात अलग है.
So class तो होती थी पर.
In your college, I can make out you have done from a very prestigious college, isn't it? And that is Jamia Millia. So it is expected of you.
Yes, sir.
ये आपको prepare जो points आज हमने बताए आपको सब तैयार. You have to prepare.
So can you help me enlist some of the topics in the management, because like you said methodologies and theories, and what else?
Whatever I already asked you the questions. Difference between administration and management.
Administration and management.
That also you have to take note of. जो मैंने पूछा है और मैम ने भी आपको टिप्स दिए हैं, वो सब आपको तैयार है. इसके अलावा यदि इफ़ यू आर वांटिंग टू प्रिपेयर नो, तो ऑपरेशंस पे थोड़ा सा आपको करना पड़ेगा. ऑपरेशंस रिसर्च में कौन से एरियाज हैं, बिकॉज मैथमेटिकल मॉडल्स वो पूछ सकते हैं OR के. वो मैंने पूछे नहीं आपको ड्यू टू पॉसिटी ऑफ टाइम. तो OR पे भी थोड़ा यू हैव टू वर्क. फाइनेंस पे यू हैव टू वर्क ए लिटिल. फाइनेंस में पर्टिकुलरली लाइक दे कैन आस्क यू फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट से रिलेटेड कुछ पूछ सकते हैं, राइट. फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स के रेगुलेशन से रिलेटेड कुछ पूछ सकते हैं. तो ये सब probable questions आपके बनते हैं because this is your second interview, no?
Yes,
So you stand a fairly good chance of selection. But you, because you know, you already got an experience of the interview, and now with this mock you will have fairly good idea. But you have to have a peep into all these brass tacks. जो सब्जेक्ट आपने डैफ में लिखे हैं उसको एक बार बेसिक्स देखना पड़ेगा. The emerging areas, not the theory. Emerging areas, and which are being talked about, which I mean, which are very likely to be asked.
Okay, sir.
Right? So I think generally it is okay. Plus also have some preparation on your this hobbies. You know, hobbies पे थोड़ा अच्छा करो. और एंट्री आपको तो मैम ने बता ही दिया. एंट्री वाज वेरी बैड. You are a totally different person.
Probably I was lost in.
You are a very polite person. आपका एंट्री आपकी पर्सनैलिटी के अगेंस्ट था.
आई थिंक आप बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हो. आपकी जो टोन है और जो बोलने का तरीका है और जो स्टैंड लेते हो, बट डोंट बी एडमेंट एज सर सेड कि आप ये नहीं कि यही है
जी.
उसको चेंज करिए. एंट्री का मैम ने बोल दिया है. और फूड वेस्टेज का एग्जैक्ट नंबर कि कितना परसेंटेज है और वो सब तैयार करके रखिए. और आपने जैसे अगर काम किया था उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में तो यू शुड नो कि क्या क्या मैंने किया, रेदर देन जस्ट यू नो टेलिंग. एक लेमैन भी बता देगा कि मैं अपने घर पे बोलूँगा कम खाना खाओ, ये खाओ. So you should think from a perspective that you have to make a big impact.
आपके फॉर्म में इतनी चीजें हैं कि आप उसको अच्छे से अगर कवर कर लो ना, your interview can go marvelous. आप उसको होल्ड कर सकते हो बहुत अच्छे से.
Ma'am, like that question of how can I curb the food wastage, I tried to keep it very simple. Of why? Because
you have to keep it simple, but things which are doable, right? You can contact restaurants rather than contacting your family members, so it will have much more impact.
Even जैसे सर ने बोला कि marriage planners, event planners, you know, the first point should be that कि इंडिया में हम ये कर सकते हैं कि इंडिया में मैरिजेस में सबसे ज़्यादा खाना वेस्ट होता है.
मैरिजेस में
हाँ, तो हमें उसको टारगेट करना है. नो स्कूल्स में जैसे हमने क्रैकर्स पे वो किया है, कंट्रोल कर लिया है दिवाली टाइम पे, तो हम ये अवेयरनेस थ्रू स्कूल्स शुरू करें. वेरियस मतलब उस पर आप बना लो पॉइंट्स. इट्स ईजी फॉर यू. आपके इसमें इतना मटेरियल है दैट यू कैन होल्ड द इंटरव्यू टू योर सेल्फ. योर डैफ इज़ वेरी गुड.
Thank you, ma'am. I was confused if I should put pursuing management or not, but now that I have kept it.
And then आप इतना open ended रख देते हो. लास्ट में आपने सब कल्चर थियोरी इन सोशियोलॉजी ले आए. मतलब कोई भी खींच ले आपको उस पर. अब नहीं. So you have to be very careful what you are saying.
And give practical solutions, practicality.
अभी तो I didn't have time. Otherwise I wanted to pull you on subculture theory of sociology.
Yeah.
Ma'am, but I have heard this, that try to keep it simple, like talking to family, talking to friends. From simple you should go to,
You know, there is a difference. If the question was simply, if you had not done this awareness program,
Yeah.
and if the question was on food wastage, then you can give a simple answer.
okay,
But you're writing it in your DAF that I've done this. It's an achievement for you. So it's an organized thing you have done.
yes,
So then nobody expects a normal, simple answer. You understand the difference?
sure. Anything else?
Anything else which you want to ask? Yeah.
Ma'am, this management thing that, ma'am, you said that the knowledge is weak. Like, is it per se political science in IR, or is it just everywhere the knowledge is weak?
You have to brush up basically.
You have to, we, in the sense, yeah, but like formulation of answers ठीक नहीं हो पा रहे.
Like, how should I
जैसे I don't know,
prioritize?
I felt it for management questions. I also felt it for the civil engineering questions. I also felt for my questions. You know, अब जैसे अगर मैंने बोला international energy scenario and Ukraine war.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so definitely यूक्रेन के थ्रू पाइपलाइन जा रही है जर्मनी, उसके कारण से यूएस एंड यूरोप और वो सब परेशान हो रहे हैं. दिस इज एन ऑनगोइंग वॉर विच इज गोइंग फ्रॉम सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर की तरफ से है कि जर्मनी शुड नॉट गेट क्लोज टू रशिया. You know that historical background.
Yes, they are entering the backyards.
So petroleum pipeline is going from Ukraine to Germany. So they do not want. Yeah. So Germany and Russia should not get. So there is international energy issues there. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So उसको उस perspective में लेके चलो, sharpen up. You know, you have knowledge, but sharpen it up.
In the form of answers.
In the form of answers. थोड़ा time ले लो, but उसको समझो कि question क्या पूछा जा रहा है.
So I just want this answer. Are girls allowed in NDA? Because this is really.
Yeah, they are allowed. They have recently been allowed, and at present there are 19 women cadets there in the academy. 10 for the army, 6 for the air force, and 3 for the navy. Yeah. It's been just started. The batch has just started this July.
In Dehradun itself?
No, in Pune.
In Pune.
Khadakwasla.
Also, we have not asked questions from Bihar, so prepare that also.
Siwan region तो बहुत ज़्यादा.
You know, economy based from Bihar, and then this tragedy happened recently. The compensation was not given. So all these things prepare well.
And political science के आप student हो तो you know नीतीश की policies बहुत different है as compared to the previous leaders. And so Bihar, मतलब it becomes Bihar itself is a whole institution within itself.
Ma'am, like my birthplace was Bihar. I was stayed in UP, and my education is from Delhi. So, out of these 3 areas, which I should be focused, because Bihar comes first because that's my birthplace. So I
maybe then when you're introducing yourself, maybe you can control the introduction in a manner that you know.
Because last year they asked more from Delhi, it was more Delhi centric, and they asked about municipalities and MCD. It was like Bihar was not asked. So if I'm confused if I should focus more on Delhi or on UP or
no, UP I think you can leave, but Bihar
and
I
have stayed in UP all my life.
But it Ghaziabad, right?
फॉर्म में आ नहीं रहा इतना.
अच्छा.
फॉर्म देखते से ही बिहार आता है, फिर जामिया मिलिया आ जाता है.
Okay.
तो फोकस उस पे चला जाता है. एंड अभी अगेन बिकॉज जैसे सर ने भी पूछा एमसीडी, और अभी एमसीडी के इलेक्शंस हुए हैं दिल्ली में, उस पर तो आप बहुत ही तैयार करो. एंड पॉलिटिकल साइंस के स्टूडेंट हो, आपकी पॉलिसी एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स यू नो.
Ma'am, one last question. Last year I was asked something related to Jamia. Is it that Jamia is too much in my DAF?
No, they are definitely going to ask again this year. Because it has been in news, you know. So the rule is whatever has been in news in last 6 months, you have to work on that.
और वो आपको remotely भी आपको कहीं पे connect कर रहा है, तो you're supposed to know.
They asked like, you are an IPS and students have blocked the road. What will you do? So,
it happened recently where lathi charge was done, I think.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.